such a mess up there.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Danny, this is Torin, and we're turning this lifeboat into a liveaboard. We're starting this week by finally getting out on the water. Of course, it's not on Luja, but this little Portland Pudgy is so cute and we are so excited to have her. She's nice and sturdy, so while you're getting yourself settled, we can show that off. Yeah. She's a very stable little dinghy. Okay, so we wanted to do a little tour of our dinghy, the Portland Pudgy. A lot of people ask us why we got this particular boat. They're not the easiest things in the world to buy, so there was a lot of thought that went into it before we got her, and we wanted to show off some of her features. So, do you remember the ordering process? Do you want to talk about that? Because that was interesting, I think.
I do not.
So
you ordered it.
I did order it. So instead of just going online and buying the boat, we actually had a phone call with the company. So these are made in Portland, Maine. That's why they're called Portland Pudgies. And they're made to order. So you go through, and it's like a 15-minute phone call where they give you every single option as to what you might want on the boat or not. And then we'll show you what we picked. So Torin was just messing around with the electrical. So why don't you go through that?
So there's an electrical panel here, and with it there's a charging port or you can hook up like a cigarette lighter USB charger here to charge your phone, and then we have a red light, have
navigation lights.
Now if we had it here, we have a mast light that goes in this spot here that we can install, and it puts an all-around white light for us. And then of course we want comfort, so we put some cup holders in.
Yeah,
custom ordered. So
cup
we have
holders,
two of those.
your phone, very convenient.
Another cup holder.
Yep.
The boat is really nice because it has all these hatches that if you have something that you want to be dry, you can throw it inside these waterproof hatches.
Yeah, and the boat is made from
roto-molded plastic.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what type of.
So, yeah, it's the same stuff as the really good, the kayaks that you'll see that are completely indestructible. This is that same kind of plastic, so we don't have to worry about the dog scratching it, or where we are, there's tons of sharp rocks and barnacles. We have very few sandy beaches, so even just pulling up on the beach, it's nice not to be worried about that.
It cannot sink, which is nice.
Yes. Torin was not involved, but my Mom and Grandpa and I had a bit of an incident. Maybe one day we'll be brave enough to explain it to you guys, but...
And post it on YouTube.
Yeah, well, there's a little bit of video. But I'll suffice to say that many barnacles were involved in very sharp rocks, and I'm confident that a PVC dinghy would have had some injuries, and this boat came out pretty much unscathed. So definitely holds up to that, and that's good because these boats are actually U.S. Coast Guard certified as life rafts, and so that is one reason why we chose this. I mean, a lifeboat for the lifeboat kind of made sense, but what you can get that attaches on to the exterior is sort of like a huge version of the hydrostatic life jacket. So it'll blow up and make a tent, and then 4 people can actually sleep in here, and as opposed to a life raft that sits in one of the cases on your deck where you're just sort of floating around. The Portland Pudgy's concept is that you have a chance to get yourself to safety if you're close enough to shore where that's a possibility. So do you want to talk about the propulsion?
So for propulsion for us, we usually go with our Torpedo engine, which is our electric engine. We just mount it here on the transom, and that pushes us along very nicely. Not on a plane or anything, but
No, this is not a fast dinghy, I'll say that.
but our whole life of boats is not fast. So otherwise, it can be rowed very easily if you know how to row very easily, which we are not good at rowing, but
There's a couple sets of oarlocks.
can do our thing. And normally, if we were going out, you can put your oars in here and they will slip down and they will store right along the side of the boat, and they're always there for you, but without being in the way.
And then what's our third method of propulsion?
So our third method of propulsion is with a sail. So down here we can mount a mast, and it turns this into a sailing dinghy.
And there's dagger boards, right?
There is dagger boards that go in here and in there.
And then just the rudder? There's like a rudder too,
and there's
right?
a rudder too that's clipped on the back.
And we got a bright orange sail, so we just thought it was fun, but it's also another safety feature that if you've got your bright orange sail deployed, you're quite visible against any seas. So it's nice. We also have a little
Compass?
compass. Yeah, I was going to say cockpit, but that's not right. And comes with the built-in bumper, so we've got that. There's an optional swim ladder. We're not much for swimming, so I don't think we got that, but
Not in the water here. We can always get it in the future.
yeah, but it's cold around here, so we try and stay in the boat wherever possible. And I think it's a pretty low freeboard, so in an emergency we could get in. We'd be all right.
That said, we can, I can put all my weight on the side here, and we're not sinking either. So
No, and they're quite stable. They're not huge for 4 people, but they're rated for 4. I think you certainly. Oh God.
I don't have my oars with me right now.
Don't have oars for a painter, but
Or a painter.
anyway. But yeah, that's the Pudgy. So I think the next thing in the video is us taking it for our maiden voyage. Now, of course, we're filming this a bit later while we're editing. So any dirt and love done look is from us, certainly not from the factory. But yeah, you'll see our maiden voyage in a minute. And one thing that has not changed from that day is that this boat doesn't have a name, and we've struggled to name her. So if you guys have a great idea for a name, comment down below what you think we should call our little Pudgy, because calling her the Pudge is great, but probably not tenable long term, and also probably not the only Portland Pudgy named Pudge out there. So a name that goes with Luja would be great. That means strong and steadfast in Finnish. That's why we named her that. So something that's in that theme, but we're totally open to options. So yeah, comment down below what we should name our little boat. And if you've got any questions about Portland Pudgies, they're pretty rare, especially on the West Coast. So if you want to know more about it, we're happy to answer questions from what we know so far. So we just got our Portland Pudgy, and this is our inaugural journey. So we're gonna just explore the marina a little bit. And we're using our Torpedo, so you can hear the engine or not. You can probably hear the highway better. First impressions?
Good. I think I need to put I feel like I should have the motor off center so that I can sit back here easier.
We finished up our very successful harbor tour with a little drive-by of this rock, which is my very favorite. These harbor seals are always all over it, just being adorable, and I love it. But as much as I wanted to watch them for longer, it was time to get back to Luja and our next order of business, which was installing some hatches.
Done.
Yay! Which window are you taking out? Okay. So we're also replacing this upper hatch. just with one that's exactly the same size or very similar. The hatches were broken when we got Luja, and we potentially could have completely fixed it with all the fittings, but we ended up deciding to get all matching hatches. So we've got 2 big square ones going in. We also added 2 hatches to the foredeck, which we'll talk about in a second, but this is the main hatch over the steering station, so Torin uses it as a way to see when he's coming in and out of the dock, or at least we assume he will. Gives us lots of nice light, and then the second big hatch is actually in what's the head now, so tons of light in there. You know, privacy is not really Luja's strength, so we'll see how having a 2-foot hatch looking directly over the toilet works out for us. Luckily, they are a little bit smoked, so hopefully that's okay. But we love the hatches. We got them online. Really good deal that way. Yeah, bit of a process getting them in. You can see Torin is trying to haul off the old hatch frame. This is a funny boat. Some things were so overbuilt. We've said this before. Some things really not. Evidently, this was one place where they actually attached everything pretty well, so he's having a bit of a challenge getting it off, but shall persevere and succeed. We probably went a little bit overkill on the hatches, as we did with so many things on this boat, but it was important to us that we did have several points of egress, just because our windows are so permanently affixed. We certainly cannot get out of those in any scenario, and so having 4 opening hatches was important to us. We've also got our door. Also gives us some nice airflow, so that's great as well, but overall we really like them, and they do look pretty great on the boat. With some perseverance, Torin was finally able to lever the whole thing off, and through a little bit of movie magic, the brand new one just dropped straight in. Cute! So we got Vitas marine hatches, and I think all of the ones I got are escape hatches, so they are actually rated to go in catamarans in the hulls. Sometimes you'll see them, well, you will always see them there if a catamaran capsizes, because they don't tend to right themselves. You might need to escape through your hatch. And so these are the same, so they can be underwater. I cannot picture a scenario in which we will get into that situation in a canal, but should it happen, we're good to go. Kind of messed up a little bit ordering, because there's 2 of these big square hatches. We thought they were the same size, and so we measured the one, which is 22 inches, and we thought, okay, well, a 24-inch one, we'll just cut a little bit bigger hole, and then got it up here and realized that the original one was 25 inches?
24.5 inches.
Okay, so we're very close here. But hopefully it'll be okay, and then that other back window will get bigger, so that's totally fine. So I said a minute ago that we ordered online and got a really great deal. I will just mention we ordered from Defender Marine, quite a large online chandlery. Totally not sponsored at all, but if you guys are looking for a good deal, highly recommend them. We paid less than the MSRP on these, and they were perfect.
Today I'm putting a frame around this window because this fiberglass, I don't know if you can see, but it's incredibly easy to bend. It's only like a 1/4 inch thick, and you can tell that it's had some fracturing or stress fractures on the old window, and then more where the hatch was, right here where the hinges were. So I'm adding a structural piece to the inside, and right now I'm just temporarily holding it in place with some junk wood screws while it dries, and it's Sikaflexed on there, and then it'll be ferried in and epoxied in afterwards with some fillets on the sides. But that's what my job is today for the windows and the hatch. So I've attached the second thing that I sort of cut to the angle. It's not quite perfect because of, well, the boat's, nothing on this boat is quite perfect for angles and whatnot, but As you can see, there's a little gap in there, and I'll fill that with thickened epoxy. I've wetted it out on both sides, and now I'll squirt some thickened epoxy in there, give it some substance so that this doesn't, but already this is way stiffer. So it's Sikaflexed on. I tightened it up with a bunch of bolts, screws, I guess, and those will all be removed, and then I'll drill the holes out and fill them with thickened epoxy and ferret smooth after it's all dry. Because the angles don't equal up absolutely perfectly on the roof, I got them cut close, and then we're putting some thickened epoxy on the angled piece to fill up the gap. So there's like an 1/8 or 1/16 of an inch of gap. So when we pulled off the old hatch, we noticed that there was some stress cracking where the hinges were, and on the front window, because we went even not, but we went a tiny bit bigger, and the fiberglass, you could just grab it and it just shifted. We are building this frame all around the inside, but you will not see any of it once it's all covered over, but it's stiffened everything up, so now it will not move at all. But there's fortunately a lot of weird angles involved, but they're all done now. So
today we're working on making frames for our front hatches. So I got these cool hatches you can kind of see in the background back there, that have a rounded front, so they're like a half moon shape with a square back, and I thought they'd be really awesome above our bed in the forepeak, and I think they will be, but I didn't really think through how challenging making the frames is going to be. So poor Torrin's going to have to cut a million pieces of angled fiberglass so that we can make a little frame for them that all fits together. But that's what we're working on today. In the bedroom, so this is our bed, or what will be our bed, and we've got two of these, and they go here and here, so give us lots of light, some emergency exits, and a way to get to the front deck, which you can see right there. The final part of today's video is installing these front hatches. Unfortunately, we don't have a huge amount of footage, but we do have a little clip coming up where right here we are assembling the frames. So we did that by cutting all of these little pieces of fiberglass and then hot gluing them to a piece of wood. The thought being that then we could epoxy those fiberglass pieces in, they'd be sort of attached in place by the wood, and we'd be able to just pop the wood off the hot glue at the end. Let me tell you, hot glue a lot stronger than you might think. This was way more of a process than we thought it was going to be. We had to grind all that glue off, but in the end it worked really well, and the hatches contrary to what they look like right here after they've been filled and faired in, look pretty great. So as we close the hatch on this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe and come back for the next one. Have a great day.